See, we see you. There we go. We definitely see you. All right. I'm Sandy O from Emma's Revolution.
And I'm still Pat Humphreys.
Let's make sure we are live on Facebook. I believe that we are. Great to have those of you who are joining us on Facebook and folks who are watching after the fact on YouTube. Oh, yeah, there we are. Okay. And as always, we want to thank our fantastic tech team who help us get all this rolling every day. That was Marcy running the video. We've got Rada on the team who's here today, and Moria. And the rest of our team, Paula, Toby, Alice, rounding out this amazing tech team. So we love them. Thank you so much. It is Labor Day weekend, so we wanted to do a Labor Day SongFest. The songs that we've written about labor issues and some choice songs that we love from songwriter friends of ours. So you will hear a few of those. I'm gonna put on the closed captioning, which was requested, and I appreciate your letting me know. I will find a way to remember to do that ahead of time. Show captions. There we go.
And our take on labor is kind of a mix of things. Some of it is sort of traditional, and some of it lifts up some jobs that don't often get focused on in your more traditional labor circles, like undocumented workers, like military personnel as workers. So we have and farm workers and things like that. Categories of workers that are definitely not discussed in the same way that we talk about other kinds of workers. So we'll look forward to singing some of those songs with you all, and we'll start out with one of the first songs that I heard Sandy O sing, actually. One of the first songs that I heard of hers that she arranged. That's the words were written by James Oppenheim, and the melody, what I understand, the original melody was probably a traditional melody that, of course, somebody wrote at some point, but nobody remembers. And then Mimi Farina did a version of it. This is a little bit more, as I understand, a little bit more toward possibly that original melody. Sand wrote it in such a way I was really taken by it when I first heard it, which was, like 30 years ago, as kind of a love song to workers, which I just thought was so beautiful. So
So the song is Bread and Roses. We'll let you know which song we're singing. We do have lyrics. Yes, thank you to Moria for putting lyrics in the chat here on Zoom. And also, I believe it's Rada who's posting on Facebook Live. We will let you know which song it is so you can sing along, but you can also just listen along if you don't know the song. And I see, Fred, you said, how do I share this on Facebook? I think that this is, as a live post, I think there's just a share button, and you would share it like you share any other post that's on Facebook. So hope that works for you, and thanks, Rada, for posting over there on Facebook. So yeah, I learned this song in college. I went to Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, and I went there because I was studying to do science, or I wanted to do science, and it was a women's college, and I thought that would be the best place to do science. But the other reason I went is because they have a strong tradition of singing together, and this was one of the songs that we sang as a school. We also sang one of Holly's songs. That was the first way I met and I learned of Holly Near's music. I was singing there.
And I always wonder, because of the name Bryn Mawr, that name must be Welsh. Mm-hmm. And there's a really strong choral tradition in Wales. And I'm not going to remember the Welsh name for the gathering that they have every year, and I wonder if they've had those gatherings since COVID. But it's really, I love that they have such a singing tradition too. I didn't know about that before I met you. So here we go, Bread and Roses. as we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day. A million darkened kitchens, 1,000 middle lofts gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children. Let the mothers speak again. Our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing, their ancient call for bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, people hear our call, for the rising of the women means the rising of us all. No more the drudge and idler tend the toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses, bread and roses, bread and roses. La, la, da, da, da.
Yeah.
Now, I realize I pitched that in the original key that I recorded it in, and Sandy and I have actually been capoing up
I was
a
like,
little bit.
good thing it's early in the day. I can hit all those low notes.
Either the first or the second fret. This is one of those unusual experiences where I sing a higher set of notes than Sandy does. Sandy actually, her harmonies are all below my vocal in this. So, and definitely my voice is lower than hers is. So sorry, I didn't check that with you. No,
That's okay.
make sure there was lots of room.
It was a tiny bit low. Yeah.
It was. I know. I was surprised for myself. I was like, oh, I remember. In recent years, we've been singing this higher.
And for anyone who might have been following along on when we put chords and such up there, you might have found that you were a step higher than us. We'll do it another time. Like that.
This is the original key.
The key that we recorded it in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, I checked that.
I see.
That's what I just said. I set my key according to the original key that we recorded it
there
at.
it is.
And I was surprised. It was like, oh, this is much lower than
There
I
it is.
remember.
I see some lovely comments there that Susan is excited to be singing this song in concert next month.
Oh, nice.
Rise Up, Sing Out, March On. That sounds like that's the name of your concert in Cincinnati. That's wonderful. And Gail says, such a beautiful arrangement to a beautiful song, one of my favorites. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. And I got a lovely card from Gail in the mail all the way from Australia. So our postal workers are getting to get the mail, speaking of workers, back and forth from Australia once again. Alice also sent me a lovely card. So,
And I'm sporting the UFCW, the Hotel and Restaurant Workers, I believe, T-shirt today. This is one of Ann Feeney's shirts that I have. So I wanted to bring Ann into the room because if she were here, she would most certainly be hauling around the country somewhere singing labor songs at the top of her lungs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to do a song next that Pat wrote. It's one of the early songs that I started singing with her when we first started performing a long time ago. It's almost 21 years ago now. Cold Cup of Water.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm going to play guitar on this one.
And Wynn, thank you for that. It was United Food and Commercial Workers. I appreciate that.
And I see that Fred was able to share it. And Fred says, I first heard this from an Austrian, though she claims origin here. Interesting. I wonder if you mean the first you heard the song. We'll find out. We love when you leave comments. We get to see what you're thinking about and what you're doing on this Labor Day or not doing on this Labor Day weekend.
All right. This is a Flat Pick song.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I wrote this song. This is pre-Sandy O for sure. We had already met by this time, but I was still working as a solo performer. And I wrote this song for the campaign that the Rural and Migrant Ministry was conducting, an advocacy day for farm workers in Albany, New York. And this was the first event that I was participating in, I think, with them, where they did a march on Albany, where they met with legislators to just, it's advocates. It was advocates and farm workers met with legislators to just talk about the conditions under which farm workers were having to exist in the Hudson Valley in New York State. And it was a really, really moving weekend of events, and Saturday day long thing. And I was reading through the materials, and I felt woefully ignorant about the conditions. I certainly thought about pesticides and things like those in the fields, but I really wasn't aware that the farm workers as a category, like domestic workers, were completely left out of the legislation that protects every other worker in this country. And I wrote this song back in 1996, that they had to go issue by issue and lobby just to get the most minimal possible standards for what they did. And this campaign was called A Cup of Cold Water, because there were growers in New York State that were even refusing to provide drinking water, potable drinking water for their workers. And I just found that so astoundingly reprehensible. But then, reading through their materials, that the average life expectancy of a farm worker is 49 years. And I also I found that staggering. But, with the growers not willing or not feeling obligated to even provide something as basic as water or sanitation facilities, not even to mention paid days off, health care, the access to collective bargaining and the ability to form a union, or any of those things, certainly a minimum wage. There were just so many things. I spent a good part of the night before the rally just writing the song, because I was just so appalled at what was going on there. So now I know I took notes on on where I am on this. So let me grab my notes, so I know for sure. I'm higher up, I think, than I think. I think I might.
See a comment up here from Shireen over in Scotland saying, our postal workers are on strike. Our street cleaners have just won a much better deal after 2 weeks of strike action. Our train drivers and workers are also in dispute, and other unions are balloting. So there is a lot going on. And as you know, anyone here in the States has seen, we've had Amazon workers unionize, we got Starbucks workers unionize, and we need to hold on to our union power. We're members of the American Federation of Musicians, Local 1000, and the non-local local, because we're everywhere.
The first traveling union that was organized by some friends of ours, a collective actually of a bunch of musician friends of ours that do social justice music. And it's been going for a number of years now. It had its ups and downs, but it was the first time in history that, to our knowledge, that traveling musicians were actually covered under a union contract.
And Wynn was adding Starbucks Workers Union, affiliated with SEIU, is holding a sip-in over the weekend to draw attention and get more people involved in efforts to have management come to the table and negotiate a contract.
That's fantastic.
Good deal. Great information sharing.
Yeah,
here.
thank you so much
for all of these responses. Yes. All right. Let's drink a cold cup of water.
Acres and acres of rope on rope, scratched in the face of the land, holding the hopes of the seeds we have sown deep in the cracks of my hands. We come from places our children can't grow, some of us south of the border, seeking safety and wages and work, dignity, food, and water. From harm may we be delivered, demand though we may be fired, to meet and bargain together for all workers, clean and safe shelter, and a cold cup of water. And a cold cup of water. The dust stings my eyes, my fingers will blister from poisonous water and air. If I speak up, the crew boss insists there's hundreds to take my place here. From spring to the fall, we all make the rounds, from bunkhouse, orchard, and field. In 49 years, I'll be under this ground, waiting for next season's yield. From harm may we be delivered, demand though we may be fired, to meet and bargain together for all workers, clean and safe shelter, and a cold cup of water. And a cold cup of water. I trusted the grower's promise of work, live months away from my home. Now I yield little more than blisters and dirt, and the weariness in me is growing. If you think you owe my family no debt, let the fruit spoil on the bough. $3 billion of my toil and sweat are feeding your empire now. From harm may we be delivered, demand though we may be fired, to meet and bargain together for all workers, clean and safe shelter, and a cold cup of water. And a cold just a cold cup of water. Thanks so much, everybody.
That was most of the harmony that I would have taught you when we taught you that song. I got most of it.
And by the way, I didn't tell you in advance. I'll try to remember to tell you. I was capoed on the 3rd fret, playing with G chords.
Yeah.
G shapes.
G shapes. The next song we're going to do is a song that Pat wrote with one of the songwriters who's come to join us here on these sessions. And actually, I sang with Bev Grant before I sang with Pat. I lived in New York City, and I knew one of her songs. And got in touch with her, and then at some point I started singing backup in her band, which was really fun. She did really great arrangements, and it was a blast. So we've had Bev Grant on to teach her song, The Women Are Coming, and she's been on for some of the concerts. I don't think that she has taught this song, and I'm not sure that we have either, but it's a song that...
Yeah, I think maybe we haven't.
We did?
No, I don't remember.
Oh,
yeah, I don't think
sure.
so, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's a song you all wrote for the Students Against Sweatshop movement. And, of course, in every college they've got all that swag with the college name, right? Mugs and hats and sweatshirts and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And this was the students coming together to say that we want our college to be represented as supporting workers' rights. We want any of that swag to be made by union workers. And it was a really successful drive.
Yeah, they were, what those companies were doing was they were manufacturing these things offshore from the U.S., but in places that are, referred to as U.S. protectorates, which basically means they just can't vote. They pay their taxes, but they don't get to be represented like, lots of countries that ought to be independent. And Saipan was one of those places. So they could get away with referring to these clothes on their label as being made in the USA, but they were paying dirt cheap, way, way, way under U.S. union standards wages. And they got called out by the students at numerous universities around the country. And it was a really courageous, really exciting movement. And they made a lot of headway. They called out a lot of different companies that were doing just sleazy things like that. So we were really happy to help provide some fuel for that fire.
This is called No Sweat.
We sew the clothes, the ones that you buy. We can't afford them for ourselves, the price is too high. Our families need food, we don't need name brands. We'd just like a fair share of the money that's made off of our working hands. We need the right to organize, no sweat, no forced overtime, no sweat, clean drinking water, no sweat, clean air to breathe. No bosses screaming, no forced pregnancy test, the right to speak and be heard. We are workers spreading the word, no sweat. There's lint in the air, our lungs are on fire. We work behind tall cement walls topped with barbed wire. We don't have a voice, so we can't complain. They just kick us out whenever we shout or cry out in pain. We need the right to organize, no sweat, no forced overtime, no sweat, clean drinking water, no sweat, clean air to breathe. No bosses screaming, no forced pregnancy test, the right to speak and be heard. We are workers spreading the word, no sweat. They call us sweatshop workers. We live from hand to mouth. We took the jobs you lost up north when the companies moved south. We don't have a union, we barely get by. We need your support, we need you to join in when you hear our cry. No sweat! We need the right to organize. No sweat, no forced overtime. No sweat, clean drinking water. No sweat, clean air to breathe. No bosses screaming, no forced pregnancy test, the right to speak and be heard. We are workers spreading the word, no sweat. We are workers spreading the word, no sweat. That was fun to sing. We haven't sung that in a long time.
I haven't sung it in a while. And I had my actual shaky egg out in the other room, so I didn't go get that. But I saw this beautiful one that Nancy Neidiger sent to us, of Nancy the cow, for folks who are on Zoom with us. And once I started shaking it, I remembered that Nancy said that it's especially good if you've got kids, because if they shake it, there are only a very few little shaky things and it won't make a ton of noise. So hopefully you got to hear it doing its little baby thing over here. Thank you for that,
It's
Nancy.
a very subtle shaky thing.
It's a subtle shaky thing. That's so great. And I saw your comment, Lori, that your mom taught you about the importance of unions, and that singing all of this is making you think of your mom and feel teary. We so get that. You know, our parents and our people who are influential in our lives, you know, who brought these things to us, who helped us become who we are today. We love being reminded of them, and it can also be a tender moment. So thanks for sharing that with us, Lori.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was a nurse and member of her nurses union in all the years that, well, not in all the years, because I don't even know if nurses were organized at the time that she started in nursing, which was in the 30s. And she was at a bunch of different hospitals early on, and then was able to take some time off of away from nursing while when my younger sister and I were born, but then went back to work once we were kind of able to reach the stove and make our own meals.
So we wanted to bring you this song because we are coming up on this anniversary next Sunday, September 11th. And we sing this song every year because we need to remember what happened, and not the part necessarily that you're going to see with the folks who are waving flags around what happened on September 11th. But we were there in New York City after the Trade Center, right after the Trade Center came down, and what we witnessed was not people rushing to war. It was people trying to help each other find their family members who had been working in the Trade Center that morning. There were posters everywhere in Union Square and in all of Lower Manhattan that was actually open to people coming to, with pictures saying, "Have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my wife? Have you seen my husband?" And it was extremely moving and horrifying. But that city in that moment was so caring, and everybody just took care of each other as we walked on the streets. It was amazing. It was not like the bustling city that you may have been to if you've been to New York. And we went back up to New York and sang on Democracy Now! When they were broadcasting literally 24 hours a day. And
a very short distance, actually, away from where the trade center was still burning at its base.
And we were there with a group of friends of ours from the Brooklyn Women's Chorus. Probably Bev was there too. She was the director for all those years. And we were singing Peace Salam Shalom in between their news segments about what was happening at the Trade Center, what was happening in New York City. And when we were there, we heard a representative of a group called Tepeyac, and they work with undocumented workers in New York City. And they were talking about the undocumented workers who were caught up in that Trade Center destruction. And when their family members went to the city and the federal places that were set up. City and the state,
actually.
City and the state, and I think they were federal.
Yeah, but first, the city and the state were actually being very compassionate and just hearing the horrible grief and pain and terror that people were experiencing. Sorry to break in there, but it was when they came in contact with federal agents that the federal agents were actually seizing papers, and the news of that just like shot through the undocumented community like lightning, and they were that whole community that was already suffering so terribly was now suffering in silence because they were so afraid of being deported. And it was just, it was just another one of those moments where we heard this story and really couldn't contain ourselves. Sandy started the song when we were driving. We had just left the studio and we were driving to our next gig in Ithaca, New York. And she just started with one line of this song, and then I sang another line, and then she sang another line, and we wrote them down, and the song just kept flowing out of us, out of the intense grief of and just horrible images of what we could only imagine people were experiencing.
And there was a moment when we sang it on the radio, maybe the next year, and the interviewer who was hosting us said, well, do you think, isn't this issue going to go away and you won't be able to sing this song again? And of course it hasn't. We really haven't created a country where immigrants like my family members are really welcomed. So we sing it today with all continued push for immigration justice and for creating a world where we can live together in safety. Mi esposa, my wife, worked on the 80th floor. The company had hired my people before. She got the job by word of mouth. That's the way in the north when you're from the south. They say 3,000, but the counting's not done. Mi esposa está muerta.
3001. I have no papers, I have no rights. All my days and sleepless nights, missing you silently. If I give your name, will they come after me?
Mi hermano, my brother, the elevator man, a doctor in our country, but you take what you can.
I saw the photos in Union Square, but I could not leave his picture there.
They say 3,000, but that's not true. Mi hermano no volverá.
3002. I have no papers, I have no rights. All my days and sleepless nights, missing you silently.
If I give your name,
they come after me?
Me, my daughter, went in early that day. She had always been that way. Her daughter asked, where did she go? How to tell her, I don't know. They say 3,000, but that can't be. Perdí a mi hija.
3003. I have no papers, I have no rights. All my days and sleepless nights, missing you silently.
If I give your name,
will they come after me?
Mi padre, my father, I have no words. I tried to find you when I heard
They gave some ashes to families,
but I'll only
have the ones I breathe.
They say 3,000, there's so many more desaparecidos.
3004. I have no papers, I have no rights. All my days and sleepless nights, missing you silently.
If I give your name,
I have no papers, I have no rights. All my days and sleepless nights, missing you silently.
if I give your name, mi esposa, my wife,
Will they come after me?
mi hermano, my brother,
Will they come after me?
mi hija, my daughter,
Will they come after me?
mi padre, my father,
If I give your name, will they come after me?
Thanks so much for singing that one with us. We know that that's a
That's
heavy
a hard
one.
one.
And David, you wrote that you were driving right by there. Let's see if I can find this. David said, my wife and I drove directly past the trade centers along West Street 15 minutes before the first plane hit that morning.
Wow.
Yeah. Those near misses of being there are just extraordinary. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And David says, I remember Amy Goodman had a few segments on Democracy Now! On how we still have no idea how many undocumented workers died up in Windows on the World restaurant. Exactly.
Yeah, they still don't have an accurate count, and then they never will.
Yeah.
There were families in this report while we were there at their old firehouse studio. They talked about how to protect their families, these undocumented workers would leave home and not tell their families where they were going to work. So, when their family members, their loved ones, just didn't come back that day, they had no idea what happened to them. So it was, and we found out it was a regular practice that families didn't actually know precisely where their loved ones were working, and it was all the more horrible for them. This particular day.
Yeah. So I see Nancy put in a bookstore owner here, and that's in Idaho, told me she went out dancing the night before and missed her usual train.
Jeez. we had a couple of friends actually with similar stories. We had a friend who worked the overnight shift and had just left the trade center, and another friend of Sandy's family's that was going to vote. It was a primary day, and she was going to vote for the Green Party candidate, and they had to go find her paper ballot, and it took them longer than usual, so she ended up not getting to work on time, thank goodness.
Yeah, so amazing stories of chance survival. Yeah, thanks for sharing all of those, folks, that you're sharing there in the Zoom chat. And nice to see you, Peter Alsop, there on Facebook, friend of ours who is a wonderful songwriter and performer. So we have another song for you that we did not write, Hands.
Oh, right. Yes.
This is a song by Phil Oakes. And folks, if you've been coming to our concerts, whether online or in person, and we are going to be doing a whole bunch of in-person shows on the East Coast coming right up. We'll tell you about those before we sign off today. But we definitely have a few of those Phil Oakes songs that we love to sing, and this is one of them. This was one of the early ones that we sang together. I hope I remembered my part right.
This is one that I actually, I have to say that I borrowed this arrangement from some friends in the Hudson Valley. They're a band called Betty and the Baby Boomers, and Betty's real name is Betty Boomer, actually. And I had heard people sing this song before, but I have to say, when I heard them and their arrangements of this song, I fell in love with it. And I just said, I have to sing this song, and I have to sing it this way. So let's see. I am, yes, open. So I sang this song for many years at a number of Phil Oakes song nights. Phil's sister Sunny is a dear old friend of mine from many, many years, and of ours now, of course.
And we're going to be singing at a Phil Oakes Song Night online
Coming
on
up.
October 2nd as part of the Greenwich Village Folk Festival. Sunny will be there, as will a lot of our fabulous friends who have been singing Phil's music all these years. Thanks for posting the lyrics there in the chat. Nice to see you, Marin, who said Betty et al. I guess you know Betty and the Baby Boomers. They're on Facebook. Nice.
Okay, Hands. There we go. There we go. I've seen the hands of the laborer. Yes, that is Ricky. Sorry. I was mixing it up with Bread and Roses for a minute. I've seen the hands of the laborer lifting all the loads, granite stuck to their fingers as they built the canals and the roads. Now they're cleared and the bridges span, rivers paused by a power dam, and now the hand of the laborer is reaching out to you. Oh, the hands that will work to build the land, your land, the labor of the woman and the man, working with their hands. I've seen the hands of of the miner, digging out the coal. Black dust stuck to their fingers as they lived their lives in a hole. Now the rock that's still under the ground, and the mine is closing down. And now the hand of the miner is reaching out to you. Oh, the hands, hands, hands that work to build the land, land, your land, the labor of the woman and the man, working with their hands. I've seen the hands of the lumberjack, forced swaying in the breeze, splinters stuck to their fingers as the lumber was torn from the trees. Now the wood from your timbers tall has built your buildings from wall to wall. And now the hand of lumberjack is reaching out to you. Oh, the hands, hands, hands that work to build the land, land, your land, the labor of the woman and the man, working with their hands. I've seen the hand of the farmer plowing across the field, topsoil stuck to their fingers as the earth was split by the steel, growing all that they could grow to fill your tables row after row. And now the hand of the farmer is reaching out to you. Oh, the hands, hands, hands that work to build the land, land, your land, the labor of the woman and the man, working with their hands, working with their hands, working with their hands, 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 working with their hands.
That's such a beautiful song.
That is a beautiful song.
Wow.
I cannot take credit for that. That is
Nope.
all Phil Oakes.
Nope, that's all right.
And his
You don't
beautiful
have to.
imagery.
You don't have to take credit for it. Marion on Facebook says, let's see what the beginning of your comment was. Yeah, Betty et al. Will be with the Pittsburgh Labor Choir and the local teachers union in tomorrow's Labor Day parade.
Ah, how great.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Wow. Thank you, Toby. Toby said, you render his words so beautifully with your voice and guitar, Pat. That's
Thank you
lovely.
so much, Toby.
Really lovely. We're going to do a song. We have two more songs to sing with you today. And yes, Robin Oakes is Sonny's daughter. Fabulous activist for bisexual people and issues. Right on.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a song called Killing Game. And this is a song that Pat wrote, and I guess we arranged it. Yeah, we definitely arranged it together when we were going to sing to open a book talk by Medea Benjamin. So we love Medea Benjamin. She's one of the co-founders of Code Pink. Still going strong, creating justice everywhere. And this was a time when we were in Boston for a concert tour, and Medea was in Boston for a book tour. And when we reached out to her and said, hey, we're in town, we could come sing a song at your book talk. And we like to arrive at events with a song just for the occasion, and Pat wrote this song.
Yeah, I was reading a magazine online, an article about drone pilots, and just thinking about what kinds of approaches will really reach people that think that war is working. Is there anything that can reach them? And I thought about it from two standpoints. One of the inspirations for this song was we were at a campus in Pennsylvania, yes, and this was actually a college campus, but some of the students there wanted to get these recruiters off campus. And they said that, they're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to have a demonstration. Will you come? And, we were in town and we had some time. So we went over. And it turns out there was us and like two other students at this demonstration. It was a very small demonstration on kind of a misty day in Pennsylvania. And Sandy and I just ended up kind of making up a chant that we pretty much chanted full steam for, I think, like an hour straight, because one of the things that we saw there was not only were the military recruiters set up like in the student area, the student, whatever, their union area or something, community center area with a table to talk to them. They had a climbing wall set up outside, and they were collecting names and information from students, and there was something about that we just found so appalling. So what was the chant? Something.
This is about
right.
Nearly 20 years ago, so I'm not sure.
Something not in our name. War is not a killing game. Mm-hmm. So that's where the initial seed to this really was planted, and I kind of just carried around in my brain for a long time. And then I have a nephew who was a Top Gun, and it was very difficult for me and for the rest of his family to come to terms with the fact that this was his chosen career. And I love him dearly. I gave him his first guitar when he was a little one, and he was in that war with under Bush W, and it was just really hard to reconcile that. And I would talk to him periodically when I could get a hold of him, when he wasn't out on a tour, and say, just get out of there, Corey, get out of there. What are you doing? You have children. Those people that you're dropping bombs on, they're other mothers' children. They're other fathers' children. And it was a painful and difficult conversation. And I thought, okay, so maybe one way to approach this is to approach the families, the loved ones of these soldiers, and say, if you can't extend your compassion to people you don't know, across the world, maybe you can extend your compassion to what this does to our loved ones, and in particular the drone program that had only been sort of recently exposed. And I thought, maybe if we point out what a horrible thing this is doing to these young pilots that are sitting in this sterile room in front of a keyboard, no connection to the actual acts, but they, in the course of their workday, have to they have to check their work in HD from their computer screen. And what I learned in this article was that drone pilots were suffering a higher incidence of combat stress than actual flying fighter pilots. And I thought, really, what are we doing to a whole generation of young people? And then actually, we wrote this song at a friend's house in Cambridge, and we came out and sang it for her. And there was a young woman there who was a student at MIT, and we finished the song, and her face was just kind of like white, and she said, I was assigned to on a government contract to design planes, flying structures that were unmanned and unpiloted, at MIT. And she said they didn't give us any other details, but it was our job to design those. And it was just this very intense, and she, I think she was really moved by this particular perspective on that. So this is called Killing Game. My sights are on my target, enemy on the ground, sitting in my office, nobody is around, matching my coordinates, focusing my gaze, my finger presses enter, the building is ablaze. Click to check my outcome, zoom, scan the scene, see in vivid detail the dead mujahideen, beside the dead insurgents, among the broken glass, tiny lifeless body, mangled by the blast. So close, I can almost touch you. So far, I can't feel the pain. Whose turn in this killing game? Get my next assignment off to Pakistan, sitting in my office, joystick in my hand, set the screen for combat, out there on my own. I'm the silent pilot, of the killer drone. Wrapping up my day job, home to see my wife, dinner on the table in my other life. Kids at home from school now, ending of my day. Mothers wail in silence, half a world away. So close, I can almost touch you. So far, almost feel the pain. Whose turn in this killing game? Bound by twisted blankets, haunted by my dream, countless shattered bodies flash across my screen. In the dim lit shadows, hiding in the night, who will warn the families captured in my sight? Am I just a soldier, a father or a fool? Have I sold my soul to serve as someone's killing tool? Or which one is my real life? Somewhere in between. Is there any distance between me and my machine? So close, I can almost touch you. So far, still I feel the pain. Whose turn in this killing game? So close in this killing game. Oh, boy, that's a hard one. Thankfully, my nephew is out of the military now. May he never be called up again. May he have a long life watching his boys grow up. And may they never be touched by that service any more than they already have been.
We have got one more song to sing with you today on our Labor Day SongFest. Thanks for all the love there in the chat. Powerful song, said David, and what a tragic and powerful song, said Bonnie. Thank you so much to all of you.
War is just one big tragedy, you know.
One big gut punch.
It's just, you know, one big failure of communication and our ability to build relationships around the world. I'm not saying that some of our partners aren't horrible and incredibly difficult to communicate with, but God, you would just think as human beings we would have found some ways, you know, and hopefully I pray that we're getting better at this, at learning ways to move through the need for conflict. There's conflict is just so violence as a way to solve conflict is it's just it's just so base, it's so inhumane, it's so contrary to I think who we can be as beings on the planet.
I always think of a photo that our friend Mary Best took, and Mary's here or was here in the room earlier. She took a photo of a sign at a protest, and the sign said, "People try nonviolence for a week, and when it doesn't work, they go back to violence, which hasn't worked for centuries." I think it's really important. It really hasn't worked.
Yeah, and Carolyn's mentioning that we need people to enlist in a Department of Peace. And, that has been a movement that folks have been trying to get off the ground for a long time. I encourage you to check that out. I know our friend Dot Maver has been involved with that for a long time. I would love to see there be more people on this planet with conflict resolution skills than skills with a gun.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So we've got a song, our last song on the Labor Day SongFest that we want to sing with you. It's called Rise Together. We wrote it when we were coming to sing at those Madison demonstrations, the demonstrations in Madison, Wisconsin, when that uprising of worker demonstrations happened right after the uprising in Egypt. In fact, it was quite a spring. It was amazing. And there were, you might remember that uprising in Egypt, and everyone, the world was watching and the world was supporting those folks. And then when the Madison demonstrations happened of workers who were out there marching in the 10-degree weather, there were folks from Egypt who were sending over money to buy pizza for those workers. That's how small our
really
world
beautiful.
can be. That's how powerful we can be together. And Pat and I were going up to sing there, and it was pretty darn cold out. There's some video, there's some photos of it all bundled up singing this song. When we first wrote it, it was called Stand Together, and now we call it Rise Together, and we use those words, rise together, because whether or not folks are physically standing on their feet or rising in spirit and action from whatever way works for them mobility-wise, that's what we want to emphasize, is the rising together. Because we're more powerful together, and we're going to need to rise together, not just for unions, but for this upcoming election. Mm-hmm. So let's consider this a call to action for getting out the vote, so that we can really keep some certain people out of office who just want to destroy this country. So here we go. It's called Rise Together. We teach our children, we plow your roads, we clean your office, we haul heavy loads. We're the workers who make this country run. We tend the gardens and the patients. We are families, friends, and students. And we'll stay here until we've won. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. When the people rise together now. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. People rise together now. They've got their money, they've got their name, but we'll no longer let them rig the game, and we'll expose the unseen corporate hand that keeps on taking, and in return, just once more, it's time for them to learn this State House is our line in the sand. from Wisconsin to Ohio, Indiana, and then who knows, from Michigan to New Jersey Shore. United, we will gather for our families and our future. It's our unions, it's our lives we're fighting for. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. When the people rise together now. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. People rise together now. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. When the people rise together now. When the people rise together, ain't no power ever stronger. People rise together now. People rise together now. All right.
Thanks so much, y'all.
Thanks so much for joining us today for our Labor Day SongFest.
Come see us at our in-person gigs. Bring your mask, and we will. A lot of these events will be get out the vote events, especially the ones in North Carolina. We are partnering with UU the Vote to help spread the word, get people signed up, registered to vote if they are not already so, or to help register other folks
Yes.
as well.
So let us give you a sense of where we're going to be this Friday night. This is Sunday.
Oh my.
This coming Friday night, we're going to be in St. Petersburg, Florida, kicking off this tour. The next night, we will be in Orlando, Florida. That's Saturday, September 10th. And then Sunday, September 11th, we'll be in Gainesville. On Friday, September 16th, we'll be in Miami, Florida. And then we head to North Carolina. We will be in Charlotte. Thank you for posting. So let's get all the right
And we're
places.
at Charlotte for a Unitarian Universalist service. We actually don't have a concert there, but
Unless somebody wants
if
to.
somebody wants to organize
bring us in
one,
for a house
we
concert or an
we would
outdoor.
be open to that idea.
Then we'll be Friday, September 23rd in Chapel Hill. Saturday, September 24th in Jamestown at the UU of Greensboro. Sunday, September 25th, we will be in Asheville for the service and then also for a concert in Brevard right after that. And Thursday, I believe it is September 29th, we will be at that house concert in the mountains that you mentioned.
Let me see.
We'll find out where
She
that is.
just sent me the info.
Yeah,
So let
and
me
then we
have
go
a
on
look.
to Arlington, Virginia, October 1st, October 2nd in New York and online, and then more in New York in October. So you can catch us in White Plains or in Middleburg at the White Plains at the Clearwater Walkabout Clearwater Coffee House, and then also in Middleburg.
Yeah, that information for September 29th, it is in Franklin, North Carolina. The Listening Room presents Emma's Revolution at Tassie Shelter, so it'll be an outdoor gig. Let's see, it is at 2:30 p.m., so it's an afternoon gig at a little outdoor shelter up in the mountains in North Carolina, over in the western part of the state. So if you are over there, come see us over there.
Yes, and all of our concerts are up on our website. We'll also have things on Facebook. And yes, David's going to see us in New York. How nice. Yes, no Learn a Song session next week because we have an online concert that you can join us at. And I believe the 18th we do have a session, and the 25th we do not have a session. So keep in mind that things things shift quickly. And thank you to Mary for mentioning that we have a project going on, which is amazing. We just announced it in our newsletter last week. If you're not on our newsletter, you can sign up for that. And what it is that there is a documentary that's going to be made about us and our justice music work. And we are very, very honored and thrilled about that. We're just getting underway. We've done some videoing with Tom Weidlinger, who is the videographer, both back in June when we were in DC and sometimes in our house, including last weekend he was here. And then we're going to be launching a formal fundraiser campaign in early 2023. But before then, if you would like to make a donation, we would gratefully receive it. Tom is donating his time, as are we, but there are costs associated with bringing Tom to where we are, and also equipment costs and other things like that. So please be part of our team if you'd like. Please spread the word about this film, because we want to know about what film festivals are near you that you would like to see this film at.
And when you are making a contribution through our website, please include a note with that so that we know what account that will go into, because we want to keep the funds for the film in a separate place from like our other gig ticket things and stuff like that. So help us out there.
So that is that. We do a hang here up on Zoom, and so folks who've joined us on Facebook Live, great to have you here. Folks who will be watching after the fact on YouTube, we are grateful that you're watching there. Do come join us sometime if you would like in the Zoom room, and have a wonderful week. We will see you in Florida. A lot of these shows,
Very
I forgot
soon.
to mention, a lot of these shows on the tour are online as well. So even if you're not in Florida, or
not
North Carolina,
not every single show, but some number of them will actually be live streamed. So check our information on the website, emmasrevolution.com.
and you can join us for the live stream if you're not near those in-person shows.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Look forward to seeing you.
Take care, y'all. Have a good
Thanks, tech team.
week.